You've got to be kidding me. Wow, yep, it's not a clickbait. I really drowned my DJI Neo on one of the first flights as well. We'll get into that footage in a second and see if this little guy survived. And this is not a sponsored video. I buy all the equipment myself, and because I travel a lot, I'm always on the lookout for new tech that can make documenting my travels that a little bit easier. I will share plenty of real-life usage for this drone, loads of footage comparing this to the DJI Mavic Pro, just to give you a little bit of a sliding scale in the quality difference, but also I'll give you examples why you should get a Neo and some reasons why you shouldn't, so you can weigh them out and see if this is a drone for you, or maybe your money can be spent better elsewhere. Here are my initial thoughts on the DJI Neo, just as I got it from unboxing to my first bike ride. Hope you enjoy this, and then we're gonna jump into all the other activities, the drowning, and pros and cons of this little guy here. Surely this can't be in a parcel that small. Holy shit, this is this looks like microphones, not a drone inside. Okay, well, let's get to unpacking. Holy shit, this is tiny. I mean, this doesn't look like a drone. Compared to Avata 2, this is a yeah, that doesn't look even like a smaller brother. Look at that little gimbal! That's the battery. It looks like a toy. Okay, so I'm guessing there's zero charge in this. So yeah, let's charge it up and see how this flies. Right, so let's see what this little thing can do. Take the cover off. It's like just here, just press, pinch, take it off. So like with any DJI drone, you press once and then hold. There are different modes here, as you've probably seen on the other videos. Let's follow and see how this little guy does.
Medium, follow, 3, 2, 1.
It's not super quiet, but it's also not like mega loud. Hey, let's see if it can actually follow me around. Come here. If I extend my arm, apparently it's gonna... Let's see if it's gonna follow me on a bike, and how fast can it do. One way to find out. This is a fairly open space, so I'm guessing this is not gonna cause him any trouble keeping up. I know safety first, and I know it's an open road, but shit can still happen. So get this guy in the air.
Medium, follow, 3, 2, 1.
Cool, it's up in the air. Let's see. Still behind me. Come for a treat. Perfect. That's pretty nifty. Let's see if you can handle kind of a more darker and a little more challenging terrain. So far, I'm pretty impressed. Come on, you get stuck, right? Ah, here you are. What's up? Having a technical? Oh, fudge. Okay, well, you did better than I expected. Oh, well done, Neo Drone. Well done. I think for $199, this did very well. It's a self-flying drone with no controllers that takes off from your hand and follows you around. It's probably not meant to be used in that way, but it did okay. It did crash a few times, and it obviously got stuck on branches a few times. It doesn't have any sensors on the front side or the back, just the tiny little sensors on the bottom when you're trying to land it. In theory, it should stop when the camera sees an obstacle, which it did a few times, and it hung around and waited for me, recognized me again, and started flying. No real complaints there, and I think, given how light this is, it crashed into trees a few times, it fell to the ground a few times, and it didn't break. Like, there's no scratches, and I've crashed it way many times than I showed you guys. Also, point to note is that you can get a DJI refresh on this for, I think, $30 for 2 years. So that means they will just replace your drone for nominal fee. When it comes to low light performance, and it was a pretty dark forest, you can tell it is struggling. It's a tiny little sensor on the drone, so you can't expect any magic from it. But let's do two more things. Let's take it out alongside of my DJI Mavic Pro 2. I never upgraded to 3 because I never felt the need. They're perfectly suiting my needs, and see how the footage compares. Not to say that, you know, these are comparable drones, but I've noticed there's a lot of influencers out there who are flying Neo with very expensive set of goggles from Avada 2 and an RC controller, which basically, when you add these things together, you're paying almost as much as you would pay for a Mavic 3. So this is not a fair comparison, I appreciate it. But it will give you an idea whether this is slightly better solution for you, or should you spruce out and maybe get a Mavic 2 Pro somewhere on the marketplace. There's loads of used ones everywhere. We'll start with a droney in the Scottish borders, then we'll do some skateboarding on electric skateboard, just to see how fast this can chase you, and it will actually locks onto you and it will stick with you. And again, I know this is a selfie drone, but since I got it, let's put it to a test. So let's just do this as a fair comparison. So Mavic as it comes, and the Neo as it comes, which kind of makes more sense. Kind of lost the sun there for a second, had to lock the dog inside of the van. She's not a big fan of these things. We're going to settings, droney, and slide it to 10 meters. Let's get this.
Well lit, textured environments.
Did I just say flying well lit? Never mind. So that's the drone buggering off. Mind you, we're shooting into the sun, so not optimal. There we go. Come on. Well, I'm not stepping into that. Come here. I do like this kind of a Jedi feeling when it lands in your hand. Right, let's try it. Let's do the Mavic. And he's off. Mind you, this is slightly louder. You need a license for it, and also that drone is a little bit further than 10 meters. And obviously this doesn't land on your hand as easily as Neo. Right, let's get into skateboarding. This is again just to compare how efficient these both drones are in kind of my applications. And as you can see, there is a fair bit of an image quality difference between them. It's not massive. If you're just sharing this to social media, it should be absolutely fine. But you can tell that Mavic 2 just gives you that extra quality that you wouldn't get from a Neo. But these are totally two different sensors. And also you can fly the Neo without a remote, and when you're flying the Mavic, you should be holding onto your remote most of the time. Even in terms of the speed of the drone, the Mavic has no issues keeping up at any speeds. We were going here up to 30 kilometers an hour, which is, I don't know, maybe 18 miles an hour. So Neo did pretty well. I was kind of thinking I would lose it at this stage, but yeah, it's keeping up. And this is your spotlight shot, so Mavic 2 Pro is nice and smooth. The Neo is a little bit jittery, but that might be my fault for setting it a bit too close. The thing with Mavic is that you can fly a little bit further away. You can get more creative shots out of the drone, and it can definitely defy higher wind speeds without any shaky footage. Obviously, there are massive downsides to it, like needing a license, for example, but we'll delve into that in a second. Because the weather was so good, instead of going home and editing what I had, we decided to go and camp out. And this is where things kinda started going sideways.
Follow. 3, 2, 1.
You've got to me. This looks dry. Let's see if it will dry the and see if it's gonna actually work again. Okay, well, this might be the test. God damn it, man. Okay, if it's waterproof, I mean, if this thing is waterproof, let's do this. Let's do this. Let's see what happens. This is no longer dripping with water. It's been in the sun for about maybe like 2 hours. Here's to nothing, right? Battery's in. Whoops. Battery check. We've got a spinny. Okay. Okay, little drone. We're gonna do things slightly differently this time. I'm not sure if it's even gonna fly, but I'll try to modify this so it stays a little bit further. Well, it's airborne. Okay. Okay, I'm not sure if this is viable. So far, so good. Whew. Sorry about the noise. Nope. It survived, didn't land on the water. Well done. I would feel way more comfortable if there would be like a massive floater on the bottom. It's been drowned, dried up, and it's flying okay. It's following okay. I think the problem was that I kneeled down and it just kind of followed me down. I hope this is not the same problem as we had with DJI Mavics, when if you were flying them over glossy water, the sensors on the bottom were picking up a signal as if you were ready to land, no matter how high you were. I mean, how high the drone was, not you, or you and the drone. For solo travel, vlogging, this is pretty epic. I really hope this footage gives you a good idea whether this is a drone for you or not. One of the biggest advantages of the Neo is obviously its tiny little size and feather weight. It's only 138 grams with the lens cap on, without it's 134. Not that 2 grams make any difference, because when you compare it to something like the Avata, which is 440 grams, 138 seems like nothing. And especially if you just buy just the drone on its own without the extras, which is probably how I'll be using this most of the time. That means you're saving even more weight, because this, with all the batteries, the goggles and the controller, and we're talking motion controller, not the RC3, comes up to 2.2 kilos. I mean, it's 2.2 kilos that you need to carry in your backpack. Same for Mavic 2 Pro. I still remember carrying Phantom with me, so having something like this feels almost surreal. The other thing is that this price is pretty much spot on for the quality we're getting, and I'm pretty sure that DJI will keep sending new firmware updates as we go, and I'm really hoping for 25 frames per second for not only the UK, but pretty much any other PAL-centric country. Also, the setup is that easy. You just press the button, switch this on, hold the button down, and it just does its thing. There's no syncing goggles or syncing a remote required, waiting for GPS to kick in. It's just ready to go. How many times as a content creator, or just during your travels, were you not using your drone because it felt obnoxious to use it in a public place? Because you're setting up the propellers and everything else, and it almost feels like a big operation. With this thing, it doesn't. It just hold it in front of you and let it launch. Another great thing, the built-in storage. I mean, it's not massive, but there's more than enough to record pretty much your whole day on this in 4K. Well, the 4K this produces at least. So there's no more, oh my god, when you're launching the drone realizing there's no SD card in it. When it comes to battery life, I've never really got to the claimed 18 minutes of flight. I think the best I had was about 12 to 13 minutes. But it's usually a little bit windy when I'm flying these things, at least in Scotland. So I'm guessing maybe in super still conditions you can get away with close to that 18 mark, but I'm not 100% sure, don't quote me on that. You have to also remember that this charges, if you don't have that fast charging case, through USB-C at the back. Now, because it's charging through the drone itself, the charging time is pretty lengthy. I think it takes up to an hour, at least it did inside of my van, to go from like a 0, because I totally drained this thing, to 100%. Where it kind of falls short is obviously the quality, and it's a really weird image. So you had these comparisons between this one and the Mavic 2 Pro, which is, what is it, 4 or 5 years old? And you can really tell a difference in how much better the footage looks on a bigger sensor. On the other hand, if you're just using this for social media, I mean, this is just good enough. If you don't want to carry a big drone with you, that is. And there are loads of scenarios when I'm traveling light, when I can only check in one bag and I really don't want to check in another one just to carry my photo gear. So, time for the big question, whether you should get this drone or skip it and get something better. And I'm not gonna answer that because it's so dependent on your needs. And it also depends on your current setup, because let's be honest, it might not fit everyone. It's not exactly the high quality cinematic drone, but it's great at what it was designed to do, which is being a handy Insta camera. Think of it as a Polaroid of the drone world. And funnily enough, I think this will become the best-selling DJI drone amongst creators. And not because of its size, but mainly because it's so damn easy to set up and fly, without the obnoxiousness of a bigger drone and without the social pressure of not filming in public. One thing this is not great at is dealing with high winds, so if I'm out and about kite surfing, probably this wouldn't be much use to me. However, I will put some goggles on, and I'm just waiting for my RC3 DJI remote to come in, because I destroyed my previous one and they were out of stock forever, yada yada yada. It should be here any day now. I'll chase some people in the woods, mountain biking. I'll get it off the water, and then fingers crossed I'm not gonna land on the water again. Because if salt gets into this baby, I don't think this is gonna fly ever again. That's all from me. I hope this was helpful. And as always, if you have any questions, drop them in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next one.